Hello and welcome to another episode of the Appelboom Bites podcast. Today is episode number 25 already, and we have two amazing guests on the show. One of them is our co-host who is with us already for a few weeks and actually was one of our first guests on the podcast. It is the one and only, the best nib specialist in the entire world. It is Anabelle Hiller.
Hello.
How are you doing,
Thank you for
Annabelle?
having me back. I'm great. How are you, Joost?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. My voice is amazing. I had a little accident yesterday, but I survived and I'm here. So I hope everybody can hear me. Otherwise, I will talk a little bit
Oh boy.
closer to the
Oh, that's a bit too
microphone.
close. That's a bit too close.
Okay, I won't do that. Well, let us introduce our special guest because we have one amazing guest. It is the one and only Ben Walsh, all the way from Ireland, and the owner of Gravitas Pens. Welcome, Ben, on the show.
Woohoo!
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hello.
Do I introduce myself? How do I do it?
Yes, you can introduce yourself.
So, hi, this is Ben from Gravitas. I'm really terrible at introductions, so there we go.
That was a great
Perfect.
introduction.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
I love it. It's really cool. But before we always start the podcast, Ben, of course, you have listened to all our shows, so you most probably already know it. We always do the pen check.
The pen check.
And because the co-host always starts the pen check, Annabelle can start with her pen check. So, Annabelle, what pen do you carry with you today?
So, to continue my tradition of only showing off pens that I wouldn't buy at Appelboom, literally didn't buy at Appelboom, I have with me a Gravitas pen. I think it's the entry, right? That's what that one's called.
Is it the big one?
It's the small one. I think
Is
it's
it?
small. Yeah, my hands are tiny. Maybe
Open it up. Let me see the section. I'll tell you. Oh, it's very blurry.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
No, that's the Century, I think.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't remember. But
It's a pen.
I should know,
It's a
but I'm
pen.
not sure.
it's teal, and I got it. I bought it from Gravitas.com, gravitaspens.com.
It's the entry. It's definitely the entry.
That's what I thought. Because it's small and it's really, really light, which is something I super like about it. Because most of your pens, other pens that I have, are all metal and they're quite heavy, and too heavy for my dainty little fingies. But this one's really nice, and the color's really nice. So yeah, that's what I'm writing with today. What are you writing with today?
What
Ben?
nib do you have on it, Annabelle?
You ask it every time. Okay,
Yes,
so
it's important.
right. So the thing is, I currently have more pens inked up than I usually have because every week I have to show off a new pen. So every week I ink up a new pen. So I'm out of interesting nibs. So this is just a broad nib. I usually order pens if they come with a Yovo box just abroad because then I can make anything out of it. But then I never make anything out of it. So this is just a standard broad nib that can turn into anything.
What ink do you ink it up with?
Let me check.
You have your
currently
wonderful
inked
little
list.
book. Show us.
I do. Hold on. Oh my God. Being put on the spot.
Annabelle, come on. You're the most organized
I'm
person
sorry.
that I know in the entire
know.
world. You should have
I
these
know.
answers
I know.
like straight up.
Jesus Christ. I've pilot Iro Shizuku Shioro.
Nice. Wonderful.
We do sell that one.
Yes,
but I
we
don't
do.
think I bought it at Appelboom.
Of course not. You never buy anything with us, but that's okay.
That's true. Why would I?
Ben, what pen do you carry with you today?
So I'm carrying my teal splash pocket pen. I actually have the Jinhao X159 nib in it. I think I have the fine nib in mine, and that's my carry. And the ink is Pelican 4001 Royal Blue. I have that.
That's a really safe ink. That's a really safe ink.
Yeah. That's
we
I
always
literally
we
put that
always
in.
use that ink in the store for if people want to test a fountain pen. That's the ink that we use.
Is that
Yeah.
the ink that we use?
Yes. So don't tell
Because we don't have
anybody.
it.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's in a ink bottle which is from another brand,
Uh-huh.
but the ink inside that ink bottle is Pelican
Damn.
401.
Well, it's not what I use at the shop, which
No,
is
that's
far
true.
more
That's true.
important.
That's true.
But
What ink do you use?
I use Diamine Majestic Blue, the stickiest blue in the world.
Nice.
Is it because I use the 4001 because I test all my nibs with that, so
Mhm.
I know how the ink is going to react, and it's kind of like the middle ground. It's not too dry, it's not too wet, so no.
Oh no, I
Anabelle disagrees on
disagree.
this.
It's so dry. It's
Yeah,
so
but
bone dry.
if your nib
That's why.
works with
That's why I use
the dry
Diamine.
ink, you're good to go. It's not the
Right.
That's
worst.
true.
No,
That's
I
true.
refuse. I refuse. I think Diamine is great because it's not like the wettest ink that I think the wettest ink that we've ever carried at Appelboom was the Blackstone ink. We don't carry it anymore, but that's super, super wet. And then, like, I don't know, the German inks tend to be quite dry. So I don't like it. I don't like it. But I super know Diamine inks and I know exactly how they behave. So that's why I always have the same paper and the same ink. And then the only variable is the pen and the nib. But I'm glad that you have an ink that you know very well. I would never use that ink anymore. It's the ink that I grew up using in school as well. But I just nah.
So you have some bad
What
memories about it. That's why you don't want to
No,
use it.
not even. I think I liked it back then, but I've just grown beyond it. I've expanded my
what
horizon.
paper do you use to test? Because I use the Rhodia number 16 paper. It's not the best,
I
but
also use Rhodia.
if it performs on that paper, it'll perform on most. I don't
Yeah,
really use
Rhodia is
any.
kind of also the middle of the road, right? So it's not the
Yeah.
worst paper ever, but it's not the best. So for me personally, my favorite paper is the Maruma Nemesis paper. That one's just stunning, which we also don't sell at Appelboom, but we should. But I don't know, Rhodia is just it's fine. It's fine. If it works on Rhodia, it's probably going to work on what
Rhodia
most
we do
fountain pen
sell at
enthusiasts
Appelboom.
use. Which I do, yes. Which is good because I use so much of it. I literally go through so many
You're
blocks every.
our only person that take all the notebooks from us, all the Rhodia books. We need to order it every
True.
week.
I just steal them every month. It's
But
good.
it's okay. It's okay. Wait, before we forget it, let's go to my pen check because we're recording this in the Easter weekend. So I thought let's grab a yellowish fountain pen. And I have this one. It's a Scribo. It's a Studio Room, which has a really nice story behind it because it was launched together with another one, which is a black pen. And it symbolizes Bologna, which is a student city. And as most student knows, you never learn in front of your exams. You always do that like the night before. So this symbolizes the light in the studios of the students in the middle of the night preparing for their exams. So it's a lovely story. I really like this one. And what is really cool is that it has how do I say this in English? It has stripes in it, and it reads wonderful. But the most coolest part of this is that the pens of Scriba are amazing, right, Anabelle, or not?
It depends on the batch.
Okay, it depends on the batch, but it's really cool that they have these extra fine, these extra fine nibs and these triple broad nibs and those flex nibs. There's a lot of variety in their nib assortment, so that's pretty cool. And that's why I wanted to show this Scribo pen.
And
we
what
also sell
ink
at
is in
Appelboom.
it?
Is that made by Bach or is it in house? Because I can't remember. I was
No.
told it's something to do with OMAS.
Yes, that's correct. So it's made by the former employees of OMAS, and what they did, they bought the machinery. At least that was told to me. They bought the machinery to make the nibs, but they don't make the nibs themselves. They let the nibs made with that machinery by or Bock or Joe, I don't know exactly, but one of those companies make the nibs, but with the machinery of Scribo or Omas, how you see it.
Hmm.
That's
And
very
what ink
complicated.
did you put in it?
What ink did I put in it? At this moment, there's no ink in it. So what do you recommend, Annabelle?
Probably Diamond Sunshine Yellow.
All right, I will put that ink in the pen after the show, okay?
Uh-huh. I believe you.
Excellent. All right. Last week we also had a podcast, and it was with Teun, which was a really fun podcast. Teun from Giants Pens, and he had a question for you, Ben, to start the show with. And the exact question was something like this: what is something that when you see it in a fountain pen, it just immediately drops all of your interest that is not immediately seen? With other words, what is your biggest pen turn off, Ben?
When a pen has a massive step, so when you take the cap off and then you just see a big drop, it scares me actually. Sharp threads.
You have
If
nightmares
there's
of it, or you can
Oh
still
yeah,
sleep at night?
but
Yeah.
my first ever pen that I made has a massive step, so I actually did. I everything that I hate in a pen, the first pen I made has them problems. So I also hate sharp threads. There's nothing worse. I think that's about it. Yeah, micro
There's this
scratches. If you get a pen and
there's
there's micro
this
scratches on it. Sorry, Annabelle.
no, I'm sorry for interrupting. There's this pen by Estée Dupont. Oh, I shouldn't mention it, but this is amethyst pen. And so I remember when I did my study, right? People were like, "Oh, you can combine gemstones and fountain pens," and I was like, "Yeah, there already is a pen by Estée Dupont that is just like an amethyst, like
Oh yeah, I've
it
seen
the
that one.
pen body isn't basically, but it just has this huge step down, and I'm like, oh no, that sounds like such a nightmare to use. It sounds so uncomfortable. It looks impressive for sure, but it's just not
I've
it.
never seen it. Wait, let me look it up now.
It's
Wow.
it's like
Yes.
it's got
That's the
away
biggest
at
step
least,
down. That's the biggest step down ever made in fountain pen.
but it's
Right.
got away at least 200 grams. It's a rock essentially. It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some rock crystal in that kind of size over there. I could weigh it right now and find out.
Let's do it.
But am I allowed? Okay, hold on.
Yes,
Hold on.
let's go. Let's go. In the meantime, I will talk a little bit with Ben because Ben, you have this wonderful pen company that you founded yourself. But of course, we're all wondering how this all started. Oh, there she is again.
Um, so
Go on,
it
go on. I'll
actually
just measure.
so it began with concrete ballpoint pens. I actually
Hmm.
have one here. Funny enough, my uncle. So I actually started making concrete ballpoint pens,
Hmm.
and I only did it to prove my dad wrong. My when I was in
Why is that?
college, I used. I'll get into it. So when I was in college, I was a furniture designer,
Hmm.
and I decided to make concrete furniture. And my dad thought it was the most ridiculous thing to do. But my dad also collects pens, so he's always collected fountain pens and ballpoint pens, and it's something that I knew that he had an interest in. So I decided that I was going to make a pen out of concrete, so I could have something to talk to him about and show him that I could actually make something useful out of concrete. So I actually spent about a year and a half working on making concrete fountain pens, not concrete fountain pens, concrete ballpoint pens. And eventually I got it to work, and I eventually grew a business out of making concrete pens. And I decided that I needed to take it to the next level, and that was fountain pens. Now, I didn't make a concrete fountain pen. I decided that I was going to make a machined, CNC machined fountain pen. At the time, I was always looking at the Kickstarter fountain pens, I think one of the first fountain pens that really caught my attention would have been Ian Schoen's fountain pens. And from there, I decided that's what I wanted to do. And after about 3 years of development, I eventually made a fountain pen that worked, and Gravitas began from there. That's how it began. It began
So
from trying to
is your
prove my dad
father now
wrong.
finally proud of you, or is he still like not impressed yet?
He sent me an email once saying that he was proud of me. I still have that
That's
email.
great.
So,
You
Can
should
you
but
put
print
it
yeah,
it
up.
out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you. I'll send it to you.
No, that's wonderful. That's
s-
wonderful.
So apparently I have this scale that I use for like gemstones usually, right? And gold, and just it usually doesn't exceed 100 grams, so I didn't know that it could be exceeded, but it's too heavy for my scale.
Is that a drug
That's
dealer
too bad.
scale?
That's too bad.
Is that
It's a
w-
come on. I mean, it would be useful for drug dealers as well, yes, but I deal with gemstones a lot. They're small. I have to be able to like weigh like 1 carat, right?
fair
Not
enough, fair
everybody in
enough.
the Netherlands
And
is a
yeah.
drug dealer. You know that, right?
I'm sorry. I'll be back in a second. I'm back.
Excellent. All right. So let's go back to Gravitas Pens. So you made ballpoint pens from concrete. Did you already manage to make a concrete fountain pen?
I actually have made a concrete fountain pen. I've just never shown anybody. It doesn't look that great. A concrete fountain pen is not very practical, or the one I made isn't very practical. I have a design. I have a method of making a concrete fountain pen. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but it is at some point it will happen. I actually have the framework for it already. So you know the micarta pen that I've made. So essentially, I will make a concrete sleeve that will slide on top of them, and then we have a concrete fountain pen. It won't be too heavy. It will still have the strength of the metal underneath, and it will be a very unique material. And I can grind the concrete down. I can put interesting aggregates into it. So do you know the way the Visconti kind of volcanic ash type resin thing? Essentially, I would do it similar to that, but a little bit different. I wouldn't actually have resin in it. It would be fully made out of concrete.
Like 100%
but that's
concrete. Wow.
yeah.
That's
Funny
really
enough,
impressive.
before Visconti came out with the volcanic pen, somebody from Visconti got in contact with me asking for my help in making some kind of a pen, and then it all fizzled out, and then they came out with the pen. So
How
that was
long has the Homo sapiens been out?
this was
That's
about
a really
7
good
years ago.
question.
That must have been ages ago now.
No, the Homo
I think
sapiens is longer, but I think that Visconti with the Il Magnifico, with the marbled stone, they don't do that long yet. I think that's for about 5 years, something like that. So maybe they wanted to have your knowledge for the production of that fountain pen.
I believe at the time there was a terracotta pen that there was big problems with it. I think it was around that time.
I remember the terracotta.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I have the guy's name. He was a doctor. His title was doctor. So the guy that got in contact with me was Doctor something from Visconti.
Wow.
Serious guy. That's nice. What is something that you, besides the concrete fountain pen, is something that you also want to do in the future with Gravitas?
Watches.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gravitas watches. That's happening, but it's I'm working on it. I've been
We will
working
not
on it
tell
for a long
anybody.
time. Yeah, I've been working on
You
that a
do
long, long
understand that
time.
other people are going to see this, right? You know that there are.
Yeah, yeah, it's an open
Nobody's
secret.
Right?
watching this, Annabelle.
Oh,
Nobody's
that's true.
watching this. It's just the three of
True.
us. No worries.
True. Uh-huh.
So you sell ballpoint pens now and fountain pens. How would you say, like, do you sell more ballpoint pens or more fountain pens?
Oh, way more fountain pens. If I wanted, I could sell more ballpoint pens. Because so the concrete ballpoint pens, I have so many clients that want them, but I don't have the time to make them. So I had to make all the concrete ballpoint pens myself, and I could only make about 25 a day. So I now have people make the fountain pens for me, and
Mm-hmm.
my time is kind of utilized in making sure production happens, design happens, packaging happens, and that takes up all my time.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine
fountain
that
pens
you
all the
you
way.
cannot you cannot do everything yourself anymore. You know, if you're growing and growing, you just
Yeah,
have to leave things alone.
yeah. That's one of my biggest problems, I guess. I grew faster than I expected or ever anticipated. It was it still is a problem actually to this day. Every time I try to anticipate what's going to happen next year, I get it wrong, and
Well, it's a good
it's
thing. It's a
a
good thing, right? That you're growing this fast.
I
I
have a
mean,
lot of customers that are waiting for pens, and I'm up to speed
yeah.
now. But the problem is, what happens when I release the next pen and the next pen? The demand is always there, and I have now tried to scale things up. I've employed people and brought in help, but I don't know. It's if I go retail, it's going to go crazy again. So
Yeah, we're
it's
we're still
that's my
waiting because your pens, they are on sale on your own website, right? But
yes.
we asked you like 100 times already, like, okay, Ben, please let us sell your pens. But we're still waiting till this day till we finally can sell the first Gravitas pens through Appelboom. But so this is the reason that you just have enough business with your own website already, so you cannot
Yeah. It's not that
have
I
another retail.
don't want to.
Hmm.
If I basically I'm so busy right now. If I start going retail, the I've got an issue right now with not being able to keep up with the demand on my own website,
Hmm.
and I have to sort that problem out before I go retail.
Yeah.
I can't have a customer waiting anymore. I have to sort that problem out. If I have a retailer waiting on me, that's a bad problem. I already have one retailer waiting on me. Goulet is waiting on me,
Hmm.
and that's not good. I'm desperately trying to catch up with all my orders, and if I have to, when I go retail, I have to prepare 600, 700 pens a day, and I can only do maybe 100 pens a day at the
And the
moment.
most important thing is your health as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we have a great mutual friend, Dries, right? And
Mm.
so whenever Dries and I gossip about you, which happens all the time, we're just mainly thinking, hope he's okay. I hope he sources things out. I hope he just adds more people to the team, because you can't carry it all on your own. As an entrepreneur who tries to do everything on my own, it's a very bad idea,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll
right?
tell you.
And my scale is just way smaller than yours anyway, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about last year or the year before last year. Um, I everybody knows that I got sick now, but I actually got sick a while ago again. So I released a pen, the Skittle pen, and it was massive. It was so popular that I was blown away, and I sold maybe 1,000 pens in a day. And at the time, I had a small ear infection, and I didn't go to the doctor because I had to package pens. So I packaged and packaged and packaged, and I ignored the ear infection, and it got worse and worse and worse, and it went on for weeks. This is so bad, but it
Hmm.
actually went on for weeks that the ear infection was in there, and I got delirium. So I started getting delirious, and I was still working, packaging pens, and I didn't care. So I was just taking painkillers, taking my paracetamol, and working away until eventually one day I woke up in a hospital, and I basically worked as hard as I could to get all the pens out. I didn't get all the pens out, and I ended up in hospital for a couple of weeks. And when I got better, I had permanently damaged myself. So my hearing got permanently damaged. Um, I essentially had a brain injury from the infection, and it really affected me for quite a long time. To this day, it still affects me. I My cognitive skills were like way down. I used to be able to do real quick maths in my head. I never relied on the calculator. And then when I went back to the workshop, um, I knew the answers to all the equations. I already knew the answers. I just knew the answers, but I didn't know how to get the answer. So I double check with my calculator, and I get the wrong answer. And the problem was I forgot the symbols on the calculator, what they meant. So I was forgetting very simple things like that, and that gave me anxiety and panic attacks. And then I had to eventually learn how to do everything again. And that's just from not taking care of my health. And I did it again recently, where I did take care of my health. I'm very, very careful, and I try to make sure that if I have a problem, I go to the doctor. But this time, even if you're looking after yourself, stress can just cause problems. And, you can get stomach ulcers, or this stress can cause other issues with your head, like neurological issues. You can have psychological issues, and eventually, but only recently I got sick again, and it's just from working too hard or working too long, I suppose. So the solution is get help, get people on board,
Yeah.
and I've let a lot of customers down because I didn't take care of myself.
Hmm.
So now my focus is I take care of myself so I can take care of my customers. And
Hmm.
when I can take care of my customers, we're all happy. And
Yeah.
at the moment, that's my focus. Me,
Yeah.
so I can be
Yeah.
good to
No,
things.
Ben, please, can you make me a promise here on the show that you put yourself first always from now on? Like, work, it is fine. But at the end of the day, your health, you only have one Ben, Your health is the
Yeah,
most important thing. So please
Yeah,
make
it's
me a
so
promise.
tempting.
You're never going to work anymore if you don't feel good. Just take rest, go to the doctor, and get yourself fixed up before you start working again. Those customers, they can wait for their pen. No worries. Nobody will die if they don't get their pen, for sure. But your
it
health
stresses me out
is.
though. It really does stress me out when I know that there's unhappy people. So my
Hmm.
focus now at the moment is so I have a very big release of a pen, but I'm not releasing it until everybody's happy or
Hmm.
everybody's sorted out. So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so tempting to just keep hustling, right? Like, so again, my scale is much smaller than yours, but the thought of there still being grinds at my house that I have to finish, I keep wanting to like push myself, and then I get to the shop and Yost sees me all tired, and I'm like, ha, I finished the pens, and he's like, maybe you shouldn't have finished the pens, maybe you should have slept, but I know it. I think it's also because it's just generally a very kind and like warm community. So you kind of want to serve them in the way. You don't want to let them down. Everybody's so nice. Everybody is so kind, and you don't want to let them down. But at the end, the demand is so high for what we do, right? We have to let people wait. Almost, we have to set boundaries like that. And in a world where people are used to Amazon next day delivery, we're just gonna have to like teach them some patience, just because we're so few, right? There aren't that many people that grind. There aren't that many pen makers. And what's most important about you is not you assembling the pen or you shipping the pen. What's most important is probably your brain and your design work and all the things that make Gravitas pens as unique as they are, right? And there's only you who can do that. And so the work that wouldn't, I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to just like do something mindless and just like put pens together. But those are probably the things where you should just let somebody else take over.
Well, for a couple of months now, like the problem was where I used to be able to focus on a nib and tune it no problem. I stopped being able to do it, and I'd overdo it. So I had to use a microscope and do it on the microscope. And where
I always use a microscope. How dare you?
I have to use one now. Where I'm able to design a pen, very, very complex pens. I'm able to understand very complex mechanisms. But for quite a while, I really struggled. And I didn't know why. And it was just overworking. My brain just took a hit. But, I took a break. I had to get better. I came back and my brain's working. So.
Are you better?
Yeah, well, my voice is buggered, but I'm better.
Are you gonna stay better?
Oh yeah, that's the plan. That's
Okay.
the plan.
Can I yell at you if you don't?
No, don't yell at me, please.
No, Ben, we're really
It's
happy.
true. I'm
We're really
horrifying.
happy that you're back and that you can share this with us. And hopefully your customers can also understand it, and that they will not like send you angry emails like, "Hey, where's my order? Hurry up!" Because most of the time,
I
when
get them a
people,
lot.
yeah, but the thing is, when you explain your situation, most people will understand, and the people that don't understand it, they don't even deserve your products. So it is, yeah, you are number one. You're the most important thing. And the pens, of course, it's important and it's fun and it's work, but at the end of the day, your health is the most important thing. So
I've
please,
learned that now. I have learned
please
that.
take care of yourself. All right.
I think this is the darkest an episode has ever gotten. I don't think we often talk about like the hardships of pen making and
no, but
pen
it's
work.
also important, right? It's part of the humans behind the pens that we made, that are made. So it's
We're
it's
not
really
humans,
important.
we're robots. Beep boop.
Yeah, you are sometimes a robot.
That's okay.
All right. I have to talk a little bit about some new products that some people also worked really hard on.
New products.
And the first new product that I would like to mention is on our website is a Montegrappa. It is a Solidarity edition made by Montegrappa, and it is following last year's edition in collaboration with Prince Albert's prestigious environmental organization, the Foundation Prince Albert II de Monaco, I Colori dell'oceano. The I Colori dell'oceano collection is more accessible and conventional than its predecessor. It is based on Montegrappa's Mia model, and it combines a special batch of Montegrappite blend with trims in stainless steel. The oceans plays a crucial role in supporting critical ecosystems that regulate the world's climate. Mankind's continued misuse of this precious resource threatens our planet's future health. Co-designed by the Prince Albert II de Monaco Foundation, the Icolorio dell'Oceano pen highlights the ocean's vitality and the environmental organization's effort to galvanize action towards its preservation. It is crafted from a locally sourced and hand-blended resin. A melange of kaleidoscopic colors swim at its surface. This artisanal resin leaves an environmental footprint smaller than conventional acrylics by recycling offcuts. But besides its kaleidoscopic color scheme, the design's defining feature is a fluted brass seashell clip, which is created by Montegrappa's Lost Wax Casting Studio. detailed with the Rusolino in pearlescent resin. This component was developed at the Foundation's request to symbolize our duty to cleanse the oceans and restore their beauty. Other details include a pair of acrylic Montegrappa rings on the blind cap, a decorated cap band, and a top disc bearing the Foundation's emblem. The 14-karat number 6 gold nib on the fountain pen is custom engraved with the House of Grimaldi's coat of arms. Annabelle, what is your opinion of this wonderful limited edition by Montegrappa?
Well, I actually have it here in front of me and I'm currently looking at it because I'm very well prepared. I think the material is interesting. It kind of looks like fire opaly, but I've obviously not seen it in real life, so it's probably not gonna be as reflective, I reckon, as an opal. But it looks interesting. It looks nice.
It looked great.
I don't know if I like the nib engraving, but that's a taste.
It's quite a serious engraving indeed.
What is that engraving?
It's the House of Grimaldi's coat of arms.
But yeah, I don't know if it looks super great on a nib, but that's just my opinion, which doesn't matter. Everybody go buy the pen. Do it.
Excellent. So we have another new fountain pen that I would like to show here. It is the Aurora Duca. After the 100th year's anniversary fountain pen, Aurora celebrates once again the royalty of Turin with a majestic and elegant pen. The first capital of Italy, the city of a royal family, Turin houses in its palaces elegant rooms with refined and precious materials. The cabochon top, the new cap ring, and the new vigno of the Aurora Duca characterize the elegant and majestic shape of the fountain pen. The Duca fountain pen is created using solid sterling silver with a flame guilloche effect. The details are also created from sterling silver, and the cap and barrel are coated in blue glazed lacquer. It is equipped with an 18-karat solid gold rhodium threaded nib, and it is limited to only 919 pieces worldwide. So, Annabelle, what do you think of this Aurora?
I think I'm a bit confused. Again, I'll have to see it in person, but the pattern on the blue body, that looks very interesting.
That's cool, huh?
Right, the kind of
especially
like checkered
with your goldsmithing background
thing. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I want to feel it. Again, there's not much to say unless I can like touch it and feel it and smell it. But it looks interesting.
Really important to smell it. Ben, what do you think of the Aurora Duca?
I think it's beautiful. I've always been fascinated by the gouache technique. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
I've always been fascinated with that technique, and I've always wanted to actually utilize it at some point in one of my pens. So yeah, I really like it.
Excellent. All right, we're almost at the end of the show, but Annabelle, you have a question for Ben, right?
Of course I have a question for Ben, because I'm prepared. So, Ben, buddy, what's up? My question is, no, I'm not just buying time, I promise. So, your journey, right, has brought you from like concrete to trying to experiment with lots of color and lots of different materials. What I want to know is, have you like gone down certain routes with materials that just haven't worked out and have ended in catastrophic nightmares? If so, tell me. It sounds funny.
Catastrophic nightmares.
Okay, maybe not that extreme, but just like, have there been like materials that you thought you'd go after and then it just wouldn't work out?
No, actually.
Okay, that's a very boring answer. Thank you.
No, every material that I've kind of gone after worked out pretty well. I've never really had any massive failures. I've had massive failures with designs, but not with materials. I guess. Well, actually, I have had massive failures in learning how to make a concrete pen. I can tell you some wild stories about blowing things up and
That's what we
resin.
want to hear. Blowing things
Oh,
up.
great.
That's what we
Yeah,
want to
go
hear.
on. I
All
wish there
right.
was footage. Do you have footage?
No, no, not with it. Well,
Ah,
no.
Oh.
So I so there's different types of concrete. There's like polymer modified concrete. So there's engineered concrete. There's composite concretes. So there's all these different things you can put into concrete to make it stronger, or you can modify it. And one of them is a polymer modified concrete. So polymer modified concrete is where you just put a resin into the mix instead of water. So I kind of was researching how to make polymer modified concrete, where you use epoxies in the mix. But I decided, right, what happens if you put polyester resin into the mix? And I'll tell you what happens. It bursts into flames violently.
hell yeah.
So what happens
Please
is there's
don't
an
do this at home.
there's an exothermic reaction that once it starts, you cannot stop it. And it's violent and it's toxic. And it's concrete, there's cement, there's aggregate, there's all sorts of things going on. And it starts to set, the resin starts to set so quickly, you can't get it out of the bucket. So you're screwed. So if you're inside, you got to get that bucket outside very, very quickly, or your house is going to burn down. And this happened in college, so it wasn't so bad. We had like a fire safety system. We got it outside and just let it burn. So that was one catastrophic failure with uh, with resin.
So
I tried to
sad that
make
there's no footage of that. That would be fun.
I know. What else? I tried to make flexible concrete by putting silicone into the mix. Doesn't work. Just doesn't set.
So we don't have to try that
Wait,
anymore.
but you did design in college, right? You didn't do chemistry or chemical engineering or anything, right?
Nope. I did design.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but here's the
So a
thing, right?
chemistry student could have maybe told you that, like, hey, maybe don't mix those two things.
Oh yeah. My college was kind of interesting. So because it was an institute of technology, there was every science or chemistry or engineering was all based in the college. So if I decided that I wanted to do 3D printing, I would be sent off to a different part of the college and shown how to do 3D printing. If I decided I wanted to machine something and learn how to do CNC machining, I was sent off to a different part of the college and I was taught how to do that. I got very lucky actually because I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. I'm not joking. If I wanted to weld, they sent me off to weld and I was taught how to weld. If I wanted to learn how to cast resin, make plaster molds, learn how to do silicone, I was sent off and I was taught how to do it by a professional. I got to do some really, really crazy and interesting things. So I did get people teaching me how to do some of the stupid things I did, but the resin thing, that was just going to be just being an idiot.
But
What
sometimes
school
you
is
have to
that?
make your mistakes, right? Trial and error, and you can
Oh,
learn,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, trial and error. So I actually used to work by trial and error. I still do, but I failed so many times. I have failed hundreds of times, and I have a massive box of pens. I used to have a big box of failures. It's massive now. I'll show you at some point. I'll take a picture and post it. But I have a massive box of failures. I don't want everybody to think that I get it right all the time, because I don't. I have hundreds of pens that I'll never be able to sell because I messed up so bad.
Well, at
That's
the end,
why I
you
work
learned,
with
you learned
gold.
from it. You learned from it, so that's
Yeah.
important.
So,
That's why I work
by the
with
way,
gold, because then I could just like remelt it. If I really screw up, and I've melted nibs before, then I'll just melt it into a thing, and then I'll start from scratch.
Smart.
the college I went to was the Dublin Institute of Technology. So I think it's called the Technical Institute of Dublin. But yeah, that's where I went
Sounds
to.
very fancy.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Interesting.
Maybe for young Irish aspiring pen makers or makers of anything, they can follow
That's a
your
good
path.
idea. All right, Ben. So we're here at the end of the show, but before we're ending everything, we have to ask you for a question. What we can ask our next guest to start the show with. So, do you have a question for us that we can ask to our next guest?
Shit.
You'll have to bleep that one out.
If you could change one thing that you've done in your career path, what would it be and why? Because
Already
knowing
know.
what you,
Interesting.
because knowing where you are now, what would you have done differently to get to where you are now? Could you have gotten here faster, a different way? And how would you have done it? Because I know what I would have done differently. I keep asking myself this question. What would I have done differently in my
Tell
career
us.
to get here?
What would you have done differently?
Yeah.
I would have went to business school. Yeah, I know.
So you're promoting
I
your
hate
technical
that.
school now all the time, like the past 10 minutes, and now you say like, yeah, I wanted to change it. I wanted to go to business school.
I think I hate that answer very much.
I'll tell you why. So, if you are to be a good designer, you need to be able to sell your designs. If you can't sell yourself, if you can't do business, that's where I kind
But
of
you
fail.
cannot do business if you cannot design.
You can do both though.
Yeah, but like, so Joost studied business stuff or whatever, right? He can't make anything. Like, he just sells other people's work.
Yeah, but
right?
I learned how to make pens while I was working different jobs. I did it as my side hustle. So I could have done business and made pens as my side hustle. So I could have done something different. That's the way. No?
Nah, I don't like it. I reject your answer. Wrong. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Annabelle, she's really strict.
Oh,
You know, Ben, do you already
yeah.
feel sorry for me that I have to deal with her like all the time?
Yeah, you're very tough.
What about all the things that you just said you learned at the Technical Institute, like welding and pouring stuff and whatnot?
It was all a lie.
Yeah,
He never went to school.
yeah, technically, like, so I did 2 degrees. So, I went to art college. I'm a fine artist, and then I went into design, and I did furniture design. And furniture design is what led me into the pens, the fine art. I learned loads of cool things doing the fine art, but I'm also a cabinet maker. And cabinet making, I got to do everything that I learned in college, and I put it into practice. I actually got to learn other things in my actual job that I have transferred into pens. The welding and learning how to do plaster casts and life casting and painting and intaglio ink printing. That's not really anything that I use in fountain pens or in design. What I learned in my actual job as a cabinet maker, I learned how to design, and I then took those design skills into college and I furthered what I learned, and that's kind of where I went into the pens. I would have loved to thrown in a business degree in there at some point.
Did you get any sort of business anything during your studies at all?
No, but I have worked for companies as a designer, and you get to see how businesses are run, and I somewhat know how to run a business. I know how to do my taxes, I know how to charge people, I know how to do invoices, and that's all from working for companies. So I learned it by working, but it would be nice to have the education to know how to do that.
Well, Ben, luckily you're still young, so maybe one day you can still do it.
Go back
I'm
to
kind of
school.
old.
Let's go.
I'm
No, you're young.
in my
You're a young guy.
I'm in my mid-30s now.
That's young.
roughly the same age now.
What age are you, Joost?
I'm 31.
When were you 31?
Sorry?
In December.
December.
When were you 31? Ah, okay, you're older than me. I thought I was older. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
we're all
So,
young guys, so we have a lot of future in front of us, so no worries about it. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of future in this podcast anymore because we're ending the show here now. Anabelle, I would like to thank you so much for being the co-host here with me again. And well, we see you next week. Who's going to be the guest next week, Anabelle?
Well, the guest next week is going to be Urban Hafner from the Fountain Pen Companion website, or fpc.inc. So I'm very curious how he's going to answer the question, because I'm not sure how much it plays into the topic that we talk about, right? Because he doesn't technically do the website for a living. So
Doesn't
we don't
matter.
actually,
Will
I
be a lot
don't
of
know
fun
that
to
much
ask him
about his
anyways.
personal life. Yeah.
We'll ask him anyways. All right, Annabelle, we'll see you next week. Ben, thank you so much for taking your time and having a chat here with us. It was so amazing to learn more from you and about you. And of course, we wish you a lot of health. And once again, please put yourself at first and all the rest after that. And make sure that you don't go to the hospital again for your health anymore. Just maybe, to visit some people there, but not for yourself. And hopefully you can make a lot of amazing writing instruments for us.
thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully we do it again.
Yes, of course. Wonderful. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're listening to us through the well-known podcast websites like Spotify or Apple Podcast, make sure to follow us. If you're listening or if you're watching us through YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And next week, we have another guest and another episode. Bye-bye.